silently through the best bear pastures with his dog and rifle and a few pounds of flour until he found a fresh track, and then to follow it to the death, paying no heed to the time required. Wherever the bear went he followed, led by little Sandy, who had a keen nose and never lost the track, however rocky the ground. When high open points were reached, the likeliest places were carefully scanned. The time of year enabled the hunter to determine approximately where the bear would be found. In the spring and early summer, on open spots about the banks of streams and stringy places, eating grass and clover and lupins, or in dry meadows, feasting on strawberries. Towards the end of the summer, on dry ridges, feasting on manzanita berries, sitting on his haunches, pulling down the laden branches with his paws, and pressing them together so as to get good compact mouthfuls, however much mixed with twigs and leaves. In the Indian summer, beneath the pines, chewing the cones cut off by the squirrels, or occasionally climbing a tree to gnaw and break off the fruitful branches. In late autumn, when acorns are ripe, Bruin's favourite feeding grounds are groves of the California oak in park-like canyon flats. Always the cunning hunter knew where to look, and seldom came upon Bruin unawares. When the hot scent showed the dangerous game was nigh, a long halt was made, and the intricacies of the topography and vegetation leisurely scanned to catch a glimpse of the shaggy wanderer, or to at least determine where he was most likely to be. "Whenever," said the hunter, "I saw a bear before it saw me, I had no trouble in killing it. I just studied the lay of the land and got to leeward of it, no matter how far around I had to go, and then worked up to within a few hundred yards or so, at the foot of a tree that I could easily climb, but too small for the bear to climb. Then I looked well to the condition of my rifle, took off my boots so as to climb well if necessary, and waited till the bear turned its side in clear view, when I could make a sure or at least a good shot. In case it showed fright, I climbed out of reach, but bears are slow and awkward with their eyes, and being to leeward of them, they could not scent me, and I often got in a second shot before they noticed the smoke. Usually, however, they run when wounded and hide in the brush. I let them run a good safe time before I ventured to follow them, and Sandy was pretty sure to find them dead. If not, he barked and drew their attention, and occasionally rushed in for a distracting bite, so that I was able to get to a safe distance for a final shot. Oh yes, bear hunting is safe enough when followed in a safe way, though like every other business it has its accidents, and little doggy and I have had some close calls. Bears like to keep out of the way of men as a general thing, but if an old, lean, hungry mother with cubs met a man on her own ground, she would, in my opinion, try to catch and eat him. This would be only fair play anyhow, for we eat them, but nobody hereabout has been used for bear grub that I know of. Brown had left his mountain home ere we arrived, but a considerable number of Digger Indians still linger in their cedar bark huts on the edge of the flat. They were attracted in the first place by the white hunter, whom they had learned to respect, and to whom they looked for guidance and protection against their enemies, the Piutes, who sometimes made raids across from the east side of the range to plunder the stores of the comparatively feeble diggers and steal their wives. June 8. The sheep, now grassy and good-natured, slowly nibbled their way down into the valley of the North Fork of the Merced, at the foot of Pilot Peak Ridge, to the place selected by the Don for our first central camp, a picturesque hopper-shaped hollow formed by converging hill slopes at the bend of the river. Here racks for dishes and provisions were made in the shade of the river-bank trees, and beds of fern fronds, cedar plumes, and various flowers, each to the taste of its owner, and a corral back on the open flat for the wool. June 9. How deep our sleep last night in the mountain's heart, beneath the trees and stars, hushed by solemn sounding waterfalls and many small soothing voices in sweet accord, whispering peace. And our first pure mountain day, warm, calm, cloudless, how immeasurable it seems, how serenely wild. I can scarcely remember its beginning. Along the river, over the hills, in the ground, in the sky, spring work is going on with joyful enthusiasm. New life, new beauty, unfolding, unrolling in glorious, exuberant extravagance. New birds in their nests, new winged creatures in the air, and new leaves, new flowers, spreading, shining, rejoicing everywhere. The trees about the camp stand close, giving ample shade for ferns and lilies, while back from the bank most of the sunshine reaches the ground, calling up the grasses and flowers in glorious array. Tall bromus waving like bamboos, starry compositae, monodella, mariposa tulips, lupins, gilias, violets, glad children of light. Soon every fern frond will be unrolled. Great beds of common pteris and woodwardia along the river, wreaths and rosettes of pellia and cheilanthes on sunny rocks. Some of the woodwardia fronds are already 6 feet high. A handsome little shrub, Chamabatia foliosa, belonging to the rose family, spreads a yellow-green mantle beneath the sugar pines for miles without a break, not mixed or roughened with other plants. Only here and there a Washington lily may be seen nodding above its even surface, or a bunch or two of tall bromus, as if for ornament. This fine carpet shrub begins to appear at, say, 2,500 or 3,000 feet above sea level, is about knee-high or less, has brown branches, and the largest stems are only about half an inch in diameter. The leaves, light yellow-green, thrice pinnate and finely cut, give them a rich ferny appearance, and they are dotted with minute glands that secrete wax with a peculiar pleasant odour that blends finely with the spicy fragrance of the pines. The flowers are white, 5/8 of an inch in diameter, and look like those of the strawberry. I am delighted with this little bush. It is the only true carpet shrub of this part of the Sierra. The manzanita, rhamnus, and most of the species of ceanothus make shaggy rugs and border fringes, rather than carpets or mantles. The sheep do not take kindly to their new pastures, perhaps from being too closely hemmed in by the hills. They are never fully at rest. Last night they were frightened, probably by bears or coyotes, prowling and planning for a share of the grand mass of mutton. June 10. Very warm. We get water for the camp from a rock basin at the foot of a picturesque cascading reach of the river, where it is well stirred and made lively without being beaten into dusty foam. The rock here is a black metamorphic slate, worn to smooth knobs in the stream channels, contrasting with the fine grey and white cascading water as it glides and glances and falls in lace-like sheets and braided over folding currents. Tufts of sedge growing on the rock knobs that rise above the surface produce a charming effect, the long elastic leaves arching over in every direction, the tips of the longest drooping into the current, which, dividing against the projecting rocks, makes still finer lines, uniting with the sedges to see how beautiful the happy stream can be made. Nor is this all, for the giant saxifrage also is growing on some of the knob rock islets, firmly anchored and displaying their broad round umbrella-like leaves in showy groups by themselves or above the sedge tufts. The flowers of this species, Saxifraga peltata, are purple, and form tall glandular racemes that are in bloom before the appearance of the leaves. The fleshy rootstocks grip the rock in cracks and hollows, and thus enable the plant to hold on against occasional floods, a marked species employed by nature to make yet more beautiful the most interesting portions of these cool, clear streams. Near camp the trees arch over from bank to bank.